Welcome back, everyone. This is episode 131 of the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies podcast. We're sponsored by Black Belt Digital Marketing. Anything you need to build your business on or offline, that's website design, Google Ads, graphic design, printing, absolutely anything we can help. Check us out at Black Belt Digital Marketing on Instagram or our website, bbdigitalmarketing.com. You can request a free review of your online presence today. My name is Milton Campus. I'm a brown belt training out of South Florida. We got Bo and Christian behind the camera. Say hello, guys.
Hello.
Don't forget to like, comment, download, share, click that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate all the support. We just hit 10,000 followers on IG, so we're super happy. Woo-woo.
Yes.
All right. Joining us today is owner of John Wai Martial Arts in Plantation, Florida. We got John Wai, and we got coaches Maurice and David. Hang on, guys. We're gonna do a couple of quick shout outs, and then we'll chat. So thank you to our friends over at Flow and Roll. Hands down the best custom gi and no-gi gear in the business. Don't believe us? Visit them on Instagram at flow_and_roll. Check out all the custom designs they do for academies across the country. You can find our podcast tee there. We've got a no-gi kit. We've got a second no-gi kit coming. You can check them out at flowandroll.com. You get 20% off your online order with code JJD. And they also have a really cool pre-order program. So like a small gym that's just getting started, couple of bucks, a few $100s out of pocket. They'll design all your stuff, but then actually like take the orders and ship them to your students. So like a little guy that doesn't have a lot, can't lay out $5-10 grand for everything he needs, his gis, his no gi gear. They'll do a pre-order. He'll take the money, put it towards the order, give you the profits, ship directly to your students. So it's a really cool program. We've also got Leo Optics. I should probably have my sunglasses. Sorry, Leo Optics. My glasses. There we go. Yeah. Don't need the Tic Tacs. Aha. Sorry, guys. Here we go. Different pair today. I forgot the name of this one. Bamboo sunglasses. I love these guys. I've always got a pair in the car, in my bag. Companies inspired and specialize in the jiu-jitsu lifestyle. They have bamboo sunglasses. They have other types as well, but I like the little.
I like that.
Right, for the black belts. I'm not a black belt yet. I did get, a bunch sent to us when we first started. Absolutely. They'll actually do your rank. They'll put your belt rank on that little stripe if you want. There you go. Yeah. So check them out at leooptics.com and use code JJD for 10% off. They're really cool, and the guys over there have been great to us. Thank you very much to Bioprotein Technology. This is, I'm going to say it in the more general way, right? This stuff is going to help you with anti-aging, metabolism, libido, your immune system, skin, cognition, and then you've got the Core to Sleep that you take at night that's going to help you with sleep and stress. So all of this, no needles, it's a little vial. You put it under your tongue, hold it for 90 seconds, swallow, go about your day. You know, guys.
I think I need that.
Hold it in your mouth for 90 seconds.
I need the whole box.
No side effects. It's been great. I take this. I actually started out taking like a testosterone booster, just like an over-the-counter thing. I was taking Astroflave. I was a little worried. I was like, oh, but I'm taking something already. He's like, no. This is more like this is a bioidentical alternative to human growth hormone. So like, it's getting your body to produce this stuff rather than like, shooting something, right? So he's just like, no. Take your testosterone booster.
You feel different?
Straight up. I was taking the Astroflave and I started to see a little difference, right? Definitely like the libido picked up. I was like, okay, this is good. I like this. And about 2 weeks into this, I swear to God, I said this on the show, so I'm not even joking. I was like a walking boner. I was just like waking up in the morning. I was just like,
these guys are getting excited.
Yeah, I felt like I was in my teens again, man. It was just like, holy shit. And then I've legitimately been just like, there's a little part of me that's always like, is it just my mind that's like saying, oh, you're taking this up? But I would go to the gym and I was working out harder. I was doing I've just always been doing the same weight. So I started like doing heavier weights and I'm just like, oh man. So I don't care what it is. I'm going to be taking this stuff because I just feel better. And again, the libido was the big thing for me. I just turned 50. So I'm like,
Jeez,
yeah, things change,
50,
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I just no gray. No, I got rid of I usually have a little gray. So it usually ages me a little bit, but I love this stuff. Check them out at bioproteintech.com. You get $30 off with code JJD. And you can buy the kits. So you're getting the $30 off on kits totaling $300 or more. So usually you want to get these two together. Again, I take it every day. I'm religious about it, and it just makes me feel great.
What's the supply on that? Because now I'm interested.
It's a 30-day supply. Yeah, actually,
Okay.
I don't have the vials in here. I use these, so it actually comes like that. Right, it's a 30-day. Right, you would have a little vial. Take it out. You can actually. I still have it set, but I'm just so religious about it that I don't have to worry about it. But you can go online, and then it sends you a reminder every morning and every night to take your vial. Right. But I'm just like, I just keep now. I honestly, because I would like even with the text, I would miss every once in a while. So I just leave them out on the kitchen counter now, and it's just like right there.
They're one thing they can take on special nights. Right?
Yeah,
like on Saturday nights.
I don't. I thought you were gonna say like before a fight or something. No. It's not like that. You're not taking it. And you're like, I think like the consistency of it is just a good thing. But yeah, definitely the combination of the two. In my world, I don't know about you guys, but like pretty much anybody over 40 at my academy, I would say the majority of people are doing TRT now. Yeah. So I mean, it's just the thing. And I'm scared to do that. I put stuff in my body in my 30s, and I wound up having a heart attack in my 40s, and I definitely think that was a contributing factor. So I've told this story, had the heart attack, go to the hospital, like I wasn't on the ground, right? It was just like pain and like what's going on, and your arms hurt. It's not just one side, both of my arms hurt. That's like a misconception. And when I went in, they bring you right in to get they're putting you on the table to see if they've got to put in stents and open up your arteries. And the only question that the doctor asked me was, she looked down at me and said, "Have you done steroids?" And I said, "Yes." That was it. That was the only question she asked me. No other questions. And then they don't put you completely under. They kind of make you really super groggy. So you can actually see she's going in. They go in through the leg, the artery in the leg, and then they go into the heart. And you could see it on the screen, so you can see the thing going in, and she's guiding. So you're like coming in and out, and you look like this snake is like going around your heart. It's really strange, but yeah, it was. I felt like that was an incredibly a big contributing factor to me having the heart attack, especially when she said that. And yeah, I've just been super scared to put any. I was even scared to do this stuff, and then I've done it, and I was just like, this is all kind of. This doesn't scare me, like injecting myself with something. Yeah. And again, this stuff, and even the Astroflave that I take, they're making your body create this stuff. Like this is not human growth hormone, right? This is helping your body create human growth hormone, and the Astroflave is helping your body create testosterone. So I'm okay with that, versus like injecting myself with it. Not. I don't know if anybody's doing it. You're looking big, So
no, I'm all natural, but stuff like that, like it interests me because technology's there nowadays, and they get better and better, and definitely, I'm tired. I'm in my 50s, and you know this, right? You walk on the mat, you get warmed up, and I feel 21, and then as soon as I walk off, like magically, I go back to 58.
Yeah, like, what did I do?
Right. So I have been reading a lot and talking to other BJJ practitioners, what they take. Yeah. And I like what I hear.
Yeah, I mean, again, I honestly would not, I'm like so against putting anything into my body, forget about shooting it. So for me to do this was like a big step. I did talk to my doctor about doing the testosterone replacement. She said, you can do it. And I got the okay. And like, I went to a place to get the actual TRT injections. Right. And I was just like, I don't feel comfortable. I just don't. My big thing is never about starting something. It's about it ending. What happens when I stop taking this? Like, and nobody really talks to you about that part. Right. And there was also like a line that you had to sign off on that basically said, like, we don't know the effects. Like, we would only know the effects of this after 15 years, and this is so new, right? So it was like signing off, like, you're going to, you're great now, but we have no clue what it's going to do to you down the road. And that's exactly what happened to me before. I put stuff in my body, and 10 years later, now I'm having like, feeling shitty, and then having a heart attack and so on. So for me, again, it was just like, it was a big step to take anything, but morning wood's nice. Hey. When you're, again, when you're 50 and you're like, shit, what's changed, and I feel like it reset the clock a little bit. So
perfect.
But okay, enough about bioprotein. Well, we're already talking, so welcome, guys. So why don't you introduce yourself? Tell give like name, rank, serial number. We'll just go down everybody real quick.
What's up, guys? My name is David Camacho. I'm one of the instructors at John Wai Martial Arts, also one of the competitors as well.
So you're blue belt in jiu-jitsu?
Yes, yeah, I'm a blue belt in
but
jiu-jitsu.
Probably a little higher level, right? Because you're doing a lot of like jiu-jitsu for MMA, grappling for MMA as well, right?
If you talk to my
you're not the normal blue belt, right?
I mean, if you talk to my coach, Eric Moreau, he still thinks I'm a white belt. But, but yeah, I'd like to say I'm a higher level blue belt.
Okay. And then you've recently gone pro as well, right?
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit more. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Same thing. Maurice, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Maurice. I'm one of the instructors as well. Just turned pro recently. I'm a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. And also I'm a black belt in kung fu as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I actually saw a picture when I was kind of looking at your stuff.
Yeah.
You were like a picture of the two of you, and you were like a little guy, a little young buck.
So I've been with him since I was 8.
Really?
Yeah.
How old are you now?
I'm 26.
Oh, wow. Jesus.
That makes me old.
That should make you feel good, man.
I need that stuff over there.
Yeah, take this box. So. And go ahead, John, introduce yourself.
Hey, my name is John Wai. I'm a black belt under Carlson Gracie Miami, Professor Buyu. I've been training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for many years. My background's Kung Fu and Wing Chun, and I've done striking, and I just love martial arts.
Okay. We have Buyu on, too. Before he moved, is he still out? Did he move to Colorado?
He moved to Colorado. He opened up a Ghost Squad, Castle Rock in Colorado.
Okay.
And they're doing awesome.
Yeah.
He's actually been in town for the last 2 weeks. He was at the IBJJ over the weekend with the team. He has a belt ceremony this weekend, so he's got a lot going on. Very busy, and he's a great instructor and just a good influencer for everyone.
You just got your jiu-jitsu black belt last year? Was it this year, 2022, 2023?
That was a couple years ago.
Oh, was it a couple years ago? Was it? Oh, sorry.
But who's counting? No.
How long? It's been 2 years?
Yeah, it's about 2 years. I think so. Time flies.
Right.
I thought it was last year.
That felt very recent. Yeah.
So welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming out. We've had John on a few times, and wanted to... I'm kind of doing this thing now that we're a little bit more local, trying to bring on not only maybe previous guests, but coaches in their, and their team and their guys and stuff. So thank you for doing this. I appreciate you guys coming on.
Thank you for having us.
I watch your stuff a lot, and I see you guys are like super, super active in like the community. I saw you guys like did an event the other day. Talk to me a little bit about what you guys do out there in Plantation, because it's not just jiu-jitsu, right? Well, let's start with the academy. Tell everybody the different things that you're teaching at your academy, the different disciplines.
Well, one thing, we regard our academy as a community-based business. And I think it's so important to get out in our local community. We've been in Plantation for 26 years, and time really flies. And I'm so fortunate to have guys like Maurice, David, and my team that works with all the people that come in here. And in our academy, we have multiple disciplines, and we teach Muay Thai, Kung Fu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, and kickboxing.
Okay.
And what happens is that we have a whole team of instructors, but we all cross-train. And then that's, I think, the beauty of it, is that not one of us are specialized in striking, or one of us just a BJJ. We all cross-train striking, wrestling, and also jiu-jitsu. Okay. So, and it's great. We do a lot of events in our local community. We try to get out there and just really talk to people. And if we just want people to think that, hey, listen, if I'm thinking about trying martial arts and you're in Plantation, that we're the #1 in that community.
Yeah. Again, you've been with John for a really long time. So you are Kung Fu?
Kung Fu, yeah.
And then... I'm not sure. How does Kung Fu work with, like, I know that there's usually, I don't want to misquote it, like, what is it, like, kind of like a sash? What would you call that?
Yeah, so Kung Fu has sash similar to the belt.
Okay.
And there's hundreds of different styles of Kung Fu, and they pretty much have their own type of ranking. Okay. And that's one thing I like about BJJ, is pretty standardized. So, when somebody walks in and they're a blue belt or purple belt, as soon as you roll with them or even just train with them, you can kind of understand. You know where they're at. Where the Kung Fu, it's every instructor, every style, or every Kung Fu family has their own structure. Okay. So, all right. But, what Maurice is not telling you is, in addition to training with me, his dad's also a Sifu. So that's where that's where him and his brother Daniel started training first. Okay. And his dad's, excellent martial artist and trains from a very good lineage. Yeah. So something he didn't tell you yet.
Yeah, so I started with him when I was 4, like as soon as because my dad used to live in New York.
Okay.
So
where?
Brooklyn.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So he would go to Chinatown to do like some classes, and I was a kid, so he was like, either you stay at home or you come with me, and I was like, oh, I'll come with you. And every single day the Sifu there, he used to have a staff. He let me play around with it when I was a kid. So I told my dad like, oh, can I start? And then finally, when I got old enough, he was like, yeah, we'll go ahead and start. And I trained with him from I trained him from pretty much my whole life. I still train with him like every once in a while.
Does he have his own academy as well?
He used to. Now he kind of just does like private lessons.
Okay.
He's a little bit more. Now he's a little bit older. He kind of does a little more Tai Chi than anything else.
Okay.
But yeah, when I turned around 8, I was seeing him like pretty much like every other weekend. And actually, I bumped into these guys at Art in the Park. So Art in the Park is the community event that we do every year. And me and my dad were going up, and we thought we were so cool. It was me, my brother, my dad, and like 2 other students. And then Sifu came up with like a group of 30. And we're like, oh crap! Like, who are these guys? So that was the first time we actually saw them. Was Art in the Park, like almost like 2007.
Yeah.
And there's a girl in my school named Laura. She actually went to the school, and she told me, she was like, hey, if you're looking for another school, why don't you check these guys out? And the first class we did, we played dodgeball. And I was like, this place is awesome. I'm gonna stick with this place.
That's how we rope it in, dodgeball.
Yeah, we did a warm-up and we played dodgeball. And my dad was like, this place sucks. But, now I stayed, and I loved it ever since, Yeah.
And David, what about you? How long have you been with John?
So I think 5 years going to 6 now, and the one thing is I'm like Daniel Moe or another one of our guys, Matthew, who's been with him since they were like 8 years old. I'm one of the newer guys. And John actually found me working at a Mexican restaurant that he'd go to, and he'd go eat there every once in a while. And I saw he was wearing MMA shorts one day. So I asked him, I'm like, oh, do you train? Like, where do you train? And just asking him some questions. And he told me, yeah, I actually own a school, and if you ever want to check it out, we're doing like a little trial. Come take some classes. And ever since then, yeah, exactly. He reeled me in, So it's a really awesome story, and it's something that I always love telling,
You mentioned, do you have a brother that trains as well?
Yeah, my brother trains as well. Yeah.
Older, younger?
Younger brother.
Younger brother?
Yeah.
How old is he?
He is
24.
So he's 25. He's younger than I am.
All right. And he trains as well?
Yeah.
Is he fighting also?
Yeah, he actually fights next weekend in Fort Pierce.
Okay.
For Combat Night, yeah.
First, I got to say, you got to let me know. I know there's so much social media, and I should know, and I follow these pages. You got to let me know when you guys are fighting locally. I'd love to come.
For sure.
I think, when did we see each other? When you had fighters, the one that we took some pictures? Roberta was there. Oh yeah, my wife.
The World Combat XFN
at the Coral Springs Community. What is that? Community Center or Art Center, whatever. The Performing Arts Center.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just definitely got to tell me. But your brother fights as well. Is he pro?
Yeah, he's pro as well. So he'll be fighting next weekend. So still last part of camp, making sure he doesn't get hurt and stuff like that.
Okay, all right.
We try to bring him on, but he's cutting weight.
Okay.
He's in his last week of training.
Moody?
Yeah. I didn't say that, but yeah, kind
he's
of
always moody.
I'll say I'm definitely the nicer of us, too.
For sure. But yeah, he's fighting in next weekend for a Combat Night. We're going up to Fort Pierce, so we're pretty excited about that.
Okay. Yeah. I'm local. Tell me about the local.
Like real local.
Oh, Fort Pierce is where? How far?
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half out west.
Well, you live in Coral Springs, so that was like date night for you that night.
Yeah, right? That was like we could have walked there. It was right up the road. So what made you guys? I'll start with Maurice. What made you even think about stepping in the ring, and what was your thinking when you first started taking your amateur fights?
So for me, growing up, I kind of always knew I wanted to do something in martial arts. I didn't know what it was. At first, I wanted to be like a martial arts like action star, like Jackie Chan or something like that. But I can't.
Look at these youngins. They said Jackie Chan's like we would say like Bruce Lee, right? All the generation.
They don't even know who Bruce Lee is.
Yeah,
they do.
I was like, I have every single Bruce Lee, even on DVD and like on like tape and stuff like that. So I'm a huge Bruce Lee fan. But I wanted to be a martial arts action star. Realized I couldn't act, so I was like, I gotta find something else. I
want to be Bruce Leroy.
That guy? Yeah.
So what happened was actually I was watching Spike TV and I saw my first UFC fight was actually Anderson Silva versus Chris Lieben.
Okay.
And Chris Lieben's like tattooed guy, red hair, just looks super tough. And Anderson Silva's this tall, skinnier guy, and I'm like, oh man, it's gonna be tough. And as everyone knows, Anderson Silva finished that fight pretty easily, and I was like, maybe I'll try this out. So, we used to do a tournament every year in Orlando, and I tried fighting there a couple of times, did terrible the first couple of years, but I think a part of it was like losing was really good for me because I wanted to I wanted to figure it out. You know, I wanted to just lose and be like, okay, I quit. I wanted to figure it out. And the more I did it, and the better I got, I was like, you know, I'm going to stick with this. And then years later, I ended up getting offered a first MMA fight. Long story short, it was a kickboxing fight at first. And they were like, hey, you want to do MMA instead? And I was like, yeah, I do jiu-jitsu. I strike a little bit. Why not? And I did my first fight for like the UFC. And I was like, oh, I'm stuck. I'm hooked on this. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, David?
So I just always had a competitive nature. So growing up, I've competed in swimming, other things, several sports. I was actually really big into bodybuilding before I ever ran into John or ever trained martial arts. And I had a pretty severe scapular injury where it didn't allow me to keep competing in that sport. And that's around the time that I ran into John, started training. And I love the idea of just being able to train and do my thing. And the idea of applying the skill set of what we were learning in class into a live scenario was something that I was always interested in. And I was really motivated by seeing Mo and Daniel, because again, I've always known since I got there that they've been training under John since they were a certain age. They've been training with their dad. So I always looked up to the idea of being able to kind of be like them in that sense. You know, and so the idea was just to try something new and keep that competitive nature going.
Is this the full-time job for you guys, like MMA, martial arts, MMA coaching, and then training as well?
Full-time.
There's no like I deliver pizza, I drive an Uber at night, none of that. You just this is the focus.
That's the beautiful thing about it, man. You know, you run into so many guys that they have that full-time job, you know, working as a mechanic, doing something else, but we have the privilege of being able to learn what we teach and just vice versa, you know.
What's the goal? Do you want to be in the UFC? Like, what's the goal for each of you? Is it,
you know, for me
like,
personally, you know, while I'm young now, definitely like take it all the way to UFC or one championship, any of those promotions. Yeah. And then after that, I do want to own a school as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same for me, you know. At the start, it's just seeing. I just really enjoyed it, the aspect of it, the idea of competing and just seeing where it goes, where it can take me. And nowadays, you know, with how everything works in regards to like social media and your ability to kind of build a profile, I know it's going to be an opportunity for me to build something, you know, outside afterwards. You know, so seeing where I can take it, you know, how far I can go in the fight game.
Preference, like I know there's so many organizations now. I'm becoming more of a fan of not more than UFC, but I've really discovered one championship now. I want to say
one's awesome.
Loving the grappling stuff that they're doing. Like I was for years, I was just like, you know, we're never going to build this huge audience with jiu-jitsu because it's not a sport where, you know, just the casual viewer that likes martial arts or likes the UFC, right? You can have a casual, never stepped in the ring, never trained anything UFC person, right? That loves the UFC, but never trained anything. Versus you don't have that same audience with jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah, you have to be in the sport to like it.
Like you don't go to these local tournaments. It's just like it's full of people that have never trained. Like you have to understand it, know it, and that probably means that you've trained it. So I've been falling in love with this whole the ONE FC concept and just the different, you know, grappling match, you know, then Muay Thai and kickboxing, and this one's with the gloves. This is with the MMA gloves. Like, what's going on here? Like, I'm loving it. If you had a preference, if you could choose, if they were all in front of you right now, let's say, you know, Bellator, PFL, be careful. I mean, what is do you have a preference on kind of like the way the organizations are run?
So if you ask me, my answer always going to change, but if you ask me right now, I actually like one a lot. Yeah. And I like it for a couple of reasons. Purely for the reason that I think like UFC kind of is turning a little bit WWE-ish, considering they also just had a big merger too. Yeah. We have guys like, for example, Cheeto Vera is fighting Sean O'Malley, right? He lost to a contender higher than him, and that guy's not getting a title shot. So it's like, sometimes you just get like popularity stuff. Whereas one championship, I do feel like they're a little bit more of a sport, meaning that if you're number one, you're going to fight for the title. If you're number two, like they do it a little bit better with that. And I also kind of like just the whole vibe there, how they're very like martial arts culture and stuff like that. And who wouldn't want to travel to Asia to fight? You know, it'd be awesome.
I'm not sure about this exact fact, but I believe like the way that they talk about it is all of their, like, they don't like have like, oh, this guy might, like, guys on the come up. Like, these are all like, I don't want to say world champions, but champions in like maybe their countries. Like, they're very high level on wherever they train. Yeah. So it's not like Dana White Contender Series or the Ultimate Fighter House, and then like you get a shot and then you're coming up and fighting. Right? It's like they say it's like these are all champions in their disciplines.
Yeah.
They were champions in other places, even if it was like a lower level organization. Am I wrong? Do you guys know?
Yeah,
right?
They do that a lot, especially with the Muay Thai, because you gotta imagine a lot of these guys have like crazy high accolades in like Thailand, all internationally, and then they get to one, they're super established. They already have like 100 some odd fights.
Yeah.
And so they're already super established before they even get into one championship.
Yeah, same deal. I like what Mo said. I like the idea of how they really put an emphasis into the humility aspect of it, of respecting each other as martial artists. I feel the same way about the UFC and how they're doing things. It's very, just kind of, there's like this showmanship where there's a lack of respect or the lack of, acknowledgement in a fighter to get an opportunity for a title fight, like someone like Bilal Muhammad, who has been deserving of a title shot for such a long time. And on top of that, I like how they do the hydration tests at one. So guys in the UFC, man, some of these guys are cutting 18, 20 pounds 2 days prior, which is insane. And I don't want to put myself in a situation where I have to, put my body under that type of stress. So I like the idea of having like this hydration protocol to know that you're fighting at a more natural weight.
Yeah.
And also, these competitors out in Asia, they tend to be smaller individuals. So you could say that the competition over there for the smaller weight classes, like myself, like the 125ers, the 35ers, the competition could be a little bit higher in comparison to what you get at the UFC. So,
yeah, I mean, that's a big reason why they like. I don't want to say they traded him, but it felt like, I think, almost like a trade when Demetrius Johnson went over to the ONE FC. Like they kind of let him out of his contract, whatever that was. But I think we might have taken in a fighter or two.
We took Ben Askren.
Okay, right.
Worst trade ever.
So there was so it was kind of like he was great there. I was actually having a conversation about like pound for pound. I think Demetrius Johnson's my pound for pound ever.
Same.
I think he's just got it everywhere, right? He understands everything. And that flying arm bar he did, and like one of it, like
crazy.
Like, what's going? Who the hell is this? Back when he was in the UFC. So I think he's my pound for pound. Do you have like a pound for pound favorite, or do you have just a favorite fighter that you?
So for me, it goes Demetrius Johnson. I'm gonna have to go GSP though.
Yeah, he's up there as well. Yeah,
I mean GSP, the only guys who really beat him, he beat them probably 10 times worse.
Yeah.
He went up a weight class and still won after being off for a long time. So I think GSP for me is my pound for pound.
What about you?
For me, once you get into the game, like you start to analyze how technical of how these guys are. So, now being a little bit more of an experienced martial artist, I would say it would be Mighty Mouse.
Yeah.
But when I first, before I ever got into fighting, like when I was a little kid, I remember watching Anderson Silva knock out Forrest Griffin. And that little, we've seen the knockout where he kind of takes that step back and just touches him with a jab and drops him. Yeah. And to me, that seemed like a kung fu movie. Like I've never thought I'd be able to witness something like that. So there's something about the expression of a fighter's character in the ring, and that for me, it has to be Anderson Silva since day one,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a MTV show that was like day in the life of like different athletes. Well, unfortunately,
on MTV, really?
Yeah.
I remember Bully Beatdown is the only one.
Bully Beatdown was an awesome show. Bobby Green was on that show.
Oh, was he really?
He was, which one? On Bully Beatdown?
On Bully Beatdown, yeah.
But there was another one.
There was another one that was like the day in the life of like an athlete, and they chose Forrest Griffin leading up to the Anderson Silva fight.
Really? Okay.
And it was the weirdest episode ever because they lead up to it and they show the shot of the fight and the locker room after, and that was tough.
Yeah.
Because he barely landed a punch. It wasn't close. It wasn't competitive. So one of the weirdest endings to one of those episodes I've ever seen.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember that show. It's always weird to hear like all the stuff that was on MTV that's like non-music related. I guess they put in music to make it, I guess, to cross over. But I don't remember that show. I don't know how long that was on.
But Bully Beatdown, I remember that one because I used to watch it all the time.
Bully Beatdown was great.
My kids used to be into Bully Beatdown. Like my girls were like, "Hey, there's a new episode out. Let's watch it."
I love the underdog. I love an underdog story. Like I could. I was watching watch a full one card and then the fight night last week at on a Saturday night we watched the replay of ONE FC with my pops who's now into it. He was just into boxing. He hated MMA and now I've gotten him into it.
Yeah.
He's watching everything. He even watches the WWE, which I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? He's watching it for the girls in the bikinis. So then we watched the fight night card. And I do, you see the difference between like the call outs. Like I don't like that somebody just gets a fight because they've called somebody out.
Yeah.
Or like I would say like I think Sean Strickland has a belt now, but do you know how he got famous?
Special thank you to the crew over at Flow and Roll for all their support. Flow and Roll is renowned for their incredible no-gi rash guards, shorts, and leggings. Flow and Roll has quickly become the premier custom apparel provider for academies big and small throughout the United States. Reach out today to discuss your custom order and ask about their incredible pre-order program. You can send an email to flowandroll@gmail.com or visit their Instagram at flow_n_roll and shoot them a direct message. And yes, they can create an awesome custom gi for your academy as well. Visit flowandroll.com to check out their awesome designs, and while you're there, pick up a jiu-jitsu dummy signature tee exclusively at flowandroll.com. And remember, you'll get 20% off your purchase of t-shirts, rash guards, or gis with code JJD.
Do you remember how he got famous?
Overall, no. What part?
That he was this. There was a video of him sparring with Orlando. What was Orlando? That the guy that just died. That guy that died. What's his full name? Orlando. Spanish name. Orlando Cruz. Something. I don't know. I forget his last name. I'm sorry. They were sparring. They were not. They were just grappling, and he caught Strickland's. He did one of these, and he caught his wrist. And Strickland had a fight coming up, and then he got pissed off and he kicked him, and it like got into like a fight. Yeah, that's what he was in the UFC, but that's what got him like
a little bit more known,
like insta famous. Wow. And then it was just like all of a sudden he was like everywhere, and it was like everybody was looking at that, and then that gave him that sounding board to say all the crazy shit. You know? I'm not the biggest fan of like the guys that just talk, but I definitely I don't have a lot of fighters that I don't like. So usually like when I'm watching something, I could go back and forth. Like the guy that's the underdog at any given minute, I'm like, oh, come on. Like, right. I want to see a good fight. I don't have like favorite fighters, right? Yeah. I do have fighters usually that I don't like. Like I'm not a Conor McGregor fan. Like I'm always rooting against him and I always fucking lose. Yeah. And Strickland's like one of those. I'm just like, oh, somebody just shut this guy up there. I have no clue how he won this belt. I don't know how this happened. Again, I'm not a big fan, but I feel like, he's got the title, but he got to where he got because he had a big mouth and he just said the wild and crazy shit. And that video was really what blew him up. Nobody really knew who he was before that. Again, he was in the UFC, but he wasn't like that, like insta famous, and everybody knew who he was. And then all of a sudden they started playing his videos where he's talking and saying this crazy outlandish shit. Yeah. And then now he's got a freaking belt and he's still doing it. So I don't really I don't like the UFC in that regard. I also, I wasn't the biggest, Gordon Ryan fan because of the talking. Yeah. But now I kind of get it. I do see that usually he's not the guy that's starting it. He's usually responding to people. Yeah. And then I've also just heard so many people like, he's so nice. He's not like that. Yeah. That I've even said he looks so uncomfortable when he's being a dick and he's saying bullshit. Yeah. Like if you really look at his body language, like he's not comfortable doing it. It feels weird. Yeah. Versus when he's talking about jiu-jitsu and talking about a move or doing an instructional.
So for me personally, I don't mind the smack talk too much as long as you back it up. So that's why I know you're not a big Conor McGregor fan, but I like Conor McGregor because whenever he said that, he would knock guys out in the first round. So it's like, maybe this guy is who he thinks he is. Yeah. So much to the point where I thought he was going to be Floyd Mayweather. Because, to that point, everything he said, he did. So I was like, you know what? Maybe he will be Floyd.
I think he believes himself. Like he has a genuine belief that he can do it.
But it rubs off on people. It makes you believe in him too. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's freaking crazy.
But you start to think either this guy is completely crazy or he's right.
Yeah, he's onto something. Yeah,
he's really he's onto it. How do you feel about like the talk? I mean, like I know, like especially like just martial arts were just taught to be so. What's the right word? Like
humble.
Humble and like even keeled, and like martial arts teaches you how to be calm in any situation. We were talking about it last episode. It's that quiet confidence. Like you can walk into every room. I think it usually makes a loud mouth calm down. Like, okay. Number one, I learned that I don't know what this guy could be a black belt. That guy could be a black belt. That guy can box. Like you just don't know, but you don't realize that till you start training with a bunch of people who start kicking your ass, and you're like, isn't that guy a fucking accountant? Right? Like holy shit, right? So I think it starts to mellow you. So how do you feel as a Sifu, as an instructor, as a black belt? If you had a student like that was just like talking shit and talking smack. I mean, you've got professional fighters. If they were doing that, how would you feel? Would you deter that? Would you just say, hey, that do you? Like, how do you feel about that?
We get encountered this a lot. You know, sometimes when we're fighting an opponent, you know, we'll see their footage and they're talking smack at weigh-ins. And these guys know, and we're all pretty much the same because maybe it's because our background's traditional martial arts, but we feel that we're going to do our smack talk right into the cage.
Yeah.
And that's really the best thing. And we encountered this. They go weigh-ins and they're standing in front and the guy's grilling at them, you know, flinching at them. We're just going to smile at them because you better back it up because we're going to come after you inside that cage.
My favorite videos are the ones where you see a face off and at the weigh-ins, and the one guy that's super calm, like who's the Jesus? I'm like horrible with names. There was the girl in the UFC who she was saying like a prayer while Joanna Jędrzejczyk was yelling at her.
Rose Namajunas.
Yeah. She stayed calm and she was like saying a prayer. She was just like saying like a Hail Mary, I think. And like she was just kind of saying it under breath.
I'm the best. That's the.
So she did both. So she said, "I'm the best," but she was walking.
She comes into the ring. I think she did the prayer at the weigh-ins when the face-off, and Jędrzejczyk was just in her fucking face, man, and she wound up beating her. Like that makes me feel so good about the underdog. Like I feel like, oh, I can relate to being that underdog or being bullied or something like that.
In BJJ, we're pretty much the same. Just like you said, you walk into the room and let's say everybody's in their plain clothes. You don't know who's going to smash you on that mat. Yeah. And they smash you and they come off. And I think, you know, thinking about traditional martial arts and being humble is that in the BJJ community, it's like I met some of the nicest people, but they're freaking savages. Yeah. Right? Like they'll come after you on the mat and then you walk off. They're just the nicest people. And I think that's what we resonate with, having our background in traditional martial arts and incorporating, you know, MMA, Muay Thai, and BJJ into our curriculum.
Yeah, I definitely see that value in, you know, if I had a kid to put into martial arts, I would definitely want them to be in multiple disciplines, right? I've said this a few times. I feel like the future of our world is that MMA is the art. Right, like you can open a school and you're learning a little bit of everything, but you lose that discipline, you lose the knowledge of the history of that specific art. But you're going in and people are training MMA because they want to learn just all aspects, right? So you're learning wrestling, you're learning grappling, you're learning all different types of martial arts, kickboxing, Muay Thai, right? But that's the discipline, right? So you don't go in and actually learn everything about every one of those. Right. You know, it's almost like no-gi grapplers who like they don't get belts, right? They're learning what they need to learn for the cage to do an MMA fight. So I feel like there's value in that if you're somebody who wants to grow. I want to be in the UFC, but I think for kids, you lose the discipline, the knowledge of really truly learning the background of the art, right? Like it's like the history, you know?
Yeah, I think like especially when we're talking about kids. There's hundreds of different schools, right? Different philosophies, different instructors. And I think it's important, you know, even as parents, like what do you want to gain your kid to gain out of martial arts? If you want them just to be a fighter, you go in, you know, MMA school, and that's all you want. But when you're going into like BJJ gyms and some traditional martial arts that cross train like we do, you're gonna learn that discipline, how to be humble, and just how to, you know, just give 100% in everything you do, and then become a badass too.
So he meant we're talking about parents. How does your family, if your parents are still with us, like how do they feel about you fighting? Like, do they think you're crazy, or is it like 100% support?
So
I thought he started to laugh. Did you start to laugh?
I'm laughing because I know he's going to bring up his mom. His mom. Listen, his mom.
Okay,
go ahead. She's a little different, man. So I was raised in a single parent household. And my mom's always been very supportive of anything that I wanted to do. Again, she, as a kid, you know, being in a single parent household, she knew that competition was a big key for me to be able to go out there in different sports and put my time into that, and hopefully not put my time somewhere else that wouldn't be, you know, beneficial for me. And so at first, you know, when she noticed that I was really wanting to fight, she was a little hesitant with the idea, but she knows that if she's nervous about me competing, it could potentially, you know, mess up my ability to perform. Sure. So every time she, you know, she's very supportive of me. And then when you hear, like I hear in the audience, I hear in the crowd, and she's, you know, she has that same killer mentality. And I think I get that from her, you know, her and my grandma specifically. So, you know, she's a big supporter of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. What about you, Maurice?
Just growing up in the martial arts, like forever, my parents are both super into it. My mom definitely doesn't like fighting. She usually, if we're fighting over here, she's in the back corner somewhere else.
I was gonna say, she ringside or
never? No. She is the farthest away. I remember.
She in the building?
She's in the building somewhere.
You'll definitely hear her.
I remember for my brother's pro debut, I sat next to my girlfriend on one side, my mom on the other side. And I lost my mom for like a good half an hour. Like during the fight, I didn't know where she went. Yeah. And she was in the back corner of the room by the bar. She was hanging out there. So she's always supportive, but she definitely doesn't like.
Do you prefer her to be there versus not even being in the building?
So
is there an added pressure, or does it take pressure away, or does it give you motivation?
When I was younger, yes. Now the older I get, kind of doesn't matter as much because the win or loss is still going to feel just as bad or good if they're there or not, So I know they support me either way, but yeah.
Prefer to have her in the building?
Same thing. Like as you get past few fights, it really doesn't matter having her there or not. But a really big thing for me is, so there'd be some fights that she wouldn't be able to attend. But she always gives me a little talk before I leave. Before I leave the house, usually Sifu would take me to the venue, and she stops me. She looks me in the eyes and tells me, "Hey, listen, no matter what, you give it your all, and you do what you're supposed to do."
I'm gonna cry, David. You made me cry, bro.
No, man,
you made me cry. I'm getting a little
I'll be honest, man. Like, and I think of those moments, and I'm like, man, the day that I don't have my mom to give me that talk, I really feel like it will make an impact on my ability to perform. So for me, it's that little talk, not so much whether she's there or not. Yeah.
It's funny because when I'm hearing David talk about fighting and his mom, all I think about is the story he tells me during the week before the fight when he's cutting weight and they both bitch at each other all week.
Man.
For you and your mom?
She doesn't understand like how hard it is to cut weight, so she's like, all right, can you go walk the dog? I'm like, Mom, I have to go downstairs, walk the dog, do this whole lap, come back upstairs. Like, can you just walk the dog for me? And she's like, it's your responsibility, blah, blah, blah. So she gets on me, and I tell Sifu about it. So, she's gotten better with it over time, understanding like how serious it is to cut weight. Yeah. But being in a single parent household like that, we clash heads on a lot of things.
You walk around at what? If you weren't fighting, you'd be where?
Right now I'm at 158.
But right now you're trained. Is that well? Okay. And where do you fight?
And I fight at 135.
Okay, that's a lot.
So my weight kind of just jumbles all over the place. I'm probably like anywhere from about 180 to 170 ish, depending on the day, and I fight at 155.
Wow, that's a big cut.
But like lightweight's super weird because it goes from 155 to 170, right? So it's not 10 pounds anymore. So a lot of guys, like I know some guys that I met who cut from 195 to 55. So I'm not even a big lightweight. I'm pretty on the smaller side, to be honest.
Well, you're saying the weight classes you could be from 155 to 170?
Yeah. So think about it this way, right? Like, so
it's a big.
I'm like around, like I said, right now I'm like 175ish, right? So if I were to go a weight class up, I'll be fighting guys with like 200 pounds. That doesn't make sense. Okay. So I have to go down to 155. Whereas like when you're 125, 135, 145, the weight classes are a little closer together, so it's a little easier.
Okay. Yeah. So how does your jiu-jitsu play into your MMA side? How we're the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies podcast. Let's talk a little bit about jiu-jitsu. Are you like, they say jiu-jitsu fighter out of Plantation. Like, what's your discipline? When they announce you, what's your specialty?
I was a little scared at this question, man. Jiu-jitsu is actually the weak point of my game, of everything at the very beginning, and my team realized that was the one thing that I really needed to bring up. My background, I actually wrestled 2 years in high school. Okay. So I had that background, but I'll be honest, I was so small in high school. I wrestled in the 103, the 106 weight class. And I graduated senior year at like 96 pounds. Jesus. So even up to then, I was getting thrown around, man. Like those 2 years of wrestling were rough. Senior year, I did a little bit better. So even though I had that grappling background and I came and trained with John, you'd think that jiu-jitsu would be a little bit easier for me to understand. But striking was something that I picked up a lot quicker. And so for me, now I feel very comfortable with my jiu-jitsu and confident with my jiu-jitsu. And every single fight that I take, it starts to build, starts to increase. And a huge shout out to one of my teammates, Austin Tadlock, who, ever since he joined the team, he's been helping me out. We've been working together a lot one-on-one, and he has really solid jiu-jitsu. And so just being able to pick up some basics, some fundamentals from him has really cleaned up my game. Yeah.
Are there? I wrestled in junior high. I remember. I'm 50. I wrestled in junior high. That was
way back in the day.
Easy.
Easy. We'll keep your ass right here on the set. All right, we'll throw down.
It was 7th and 8th grade, and then in 9th grade, I wanted to play football. That was the stupidest move I ever made. I was a soccer player, and I should have kept on wrestling. But there are things that I still carry over. Like that, like when I started jiu-jitsu, it was just like this light came on, like, oh, I remember being in this position. Is there anything that you've carried over from wrestling that you feel like this has really helped me with not only my fighting, but my jiu-jitsu specifically?
I'd say the competitive mindset that you gain from wrestling, you know, when we were in the room, you know, you'd have wrestle-offs. So there's several guys that are in your weight class. And if you wanted to be the one to step up on the mat during a meet, you had to wrestle off your own teammates, you know? And so there was always that competitive nature every single practice. And so I think the biggest thing that I got from wrestling was that more so. Yeah.
I've been, and this is, we're big on, my school is, we're big on lockdown. I don't know if you know, Felipe, big on lockdown, Z-guard. We do something called the fold. And great at the offensive attack from there. And then I started to, like, you know, when I'm on top and somebody's got me in the Z-guard, I've started using cradles. So somebody's got me in the lockdown, or they like let go of the lockdown, and then, you know, part of the lockdown, you got to get your head here, right? So that, you know, you can maybe sweep me, or then, you know, do an electric chair, and boom, I'm just getting them into the cradle. Like, so like, it was just like this, like I love cradles. I could roll people with cradles in wrestling, and I've just been incorporating that. There's some great Instagram, like Catch Wrestling Instagram handles to watch, and it's just, again, it's like usually like, oh God, I'm always there, and I know, you know, I'm good at, I could do that. So that's something I've been using lately, and that I like to carry over. What about you, Maurice? Like, what's it when they come into the ring, you know, fighting out of Plantation, Florida? Like, what is your discipline? What did I say?
I actually say Sanchow, which is Chinese kickboxing, and jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
You know, I wrestled in high school as well. So I actually had it a little different. So I did jiu-jitsu first with John, and then I did wrestling, and then I went back to jiu-jitsu.
Did you stop, like, oh, I'm going to start wrestling and not do jiu-jitsu, or was just like, I'm going to do it during this time?
I try to do both. I will say that, like, you know, high school wrestling demanded a lot. So I really, once I started getting into wrestling, I was just wrestling. I'd come to class every once in a while. And then once I stopped wrestling, I went back to jiu-jitsu full time. And I would simply say, you know, one thing that I'm learning more now than I used to is that they kind of play really well into each other. So our wrestling coach, Joe Watson, he's a wrestler. Like, he's a wrestling, I wouldn't even say wrestler, he's a grappler. Yeah. You know, so a lot of the jiu-jitsu stuff that I have, he's kind of mixing with the wrestling, and I feel like we're kind of creating this style that works really well for me.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome.
The one thing I've noticed about wrestling, right, based upon the rule set, you can't submit, obviously, so you have to find ways to kind of hurt your opponent, you know. So either, like, you know, what's it called? Like when you come across the face, like a cross-face, like cross-facing or cradle, just kind of finding ways of putting your opponent in those uncomfortable situations without fully committing to a submission. I think that translates very well to the MMA game.
You're creating a reaction. You have to create a reaction.
Yeah, exactly. To open up to then get a new position or that submission, I think that has translated well into the jiu-jitsu aspect of my game.
I'm good at putting my knuckles into people's throats to create a reaction. Like,
when you're applying the choke?
No, like if I love, like, north-south is my other thing. So when I get caught in a north-south, north-south is a difficult position to get out of if they get low enough to the ground. Right. But if you can just dig your fingers in. I had somebody do it to me, and I'm like, that's a great. That works. I'm like, oh shit, I can't stay down here. You can get your fingers, or I like to use these guys, like, just get them into their neck and push them off and create a little space. You can get out once you get your hands in. You can kind of get out, or at least they have to do something else. Because if you can get your hands in, there's no choke, right? So get your fingers in, get your hands in, and then you can start to play.
I'm gonna have to try that next time.
Yeah. So, like, but it's about creating reaction. I had somebody do it to me, and I was just like, shit, I can't get low because they got their fingers, you know. And it hurts. It hurts, and you're choking. They're choking you in a sense, right? But again, it's creating reactions, and I love that side of things, you know. John, I want to transition into something else, because I saw, again, maybe, I don't know how long ago it was, but you were I see some pictures on Instagram. You're at the UFC, at the Apex Center. and then USA MMA coach. What is going on? What have you been doing?
Well,
I didn't know about any of this stuff until I saw it.
So I got drafted to coach the MMA team, the USA MMA team.
Okay.
We had one of our training was out at the UFC. Apex, and that was just an awesome experience.
Yeah.
Speaking of Forrest Griffin, like I got in the cage with him and we're messing around. He's a kid. He's a big kid.
Yeah.
Really nice guy, and he's basically our top guy. So anytime we pick or choose a fighter, he's got the last word.
So what does that mean? What is the USA MMA team? What is that? Is that a UFC based thing? Is it?
No, it is from the United States Fight League, and they're the organization that is recognized by IMMAF, which is the International Mixed Martial Arts Federation.
Okay.
So so they have the IMMAF. They have tournaments, world tournaments, Pan tournament, and there's only one team that's recognized from each country.
Okay.
So pretty much, you get the best of the best.
Amateurs, though? Amateurs,
yeah. So you get the best of the best, and you get to fight people all in different, countries, different regions. And speaking, you guys talking about wrestling, how that has played a huge part in MMA right now. Mm-hmm. And David and Maurice have both fought at IMMAF. And it's just great experience because you get to face different fighters, different styles. And that's when you go to these type of international tournaments, you got to have your game on and everything. You got to be, an excellent striker, have good ground skills, and wrestling. Wrestling is huge. Even for the U.S. team in the last year and a half, we've been focusing, all the USA coaches have been focusing on the ability to not just wrestle, but to wrestle up, to get up, to take down. And it's just really changing our game.
Yeah.
But, just being part of that, and there's several other coaches with me, just all high level. And it's great because we get to put in a lot of information and that we take home. Sure. But it's funny because one of the coaches even told Dave, Dave, I believe maybe a year and a half ago, we were out in Mexico, and David said he doesn't train gi much, and my friend Chad, he's like one of the U.S. coaches, he's a black belt, and he's like, listen, he goes, you have to train gi, and we're listening. He's like, you know why? Because when you train in gi, everything's a lot tighter. If you can get out of those tight positions in gi, you can get out of it no gi or MMA. And I think that was really good advice for these guys.
Did you take it?
Yeah, so after that, I started training again. Recently, I haven't been able to get into it as much. Last fight, got into some injuries where I can't grapple at the moment. But yeah, I have noticed that there's a big difference in the pacing, and that you can't scramble or slip out of situations like that. So that's very true.
It's essential. Like you have, for a no-gi guy, it's like, oh wow, there's a weapon now. I'm not only can use this, but like for me as an older guy, I love both. But
I never seen you in a no-gi picture.
Yeah, like Friday, Saturday. We only do it on Friday. So I miss Friday, Saturday. I don't. But yeah, we do. We actually in my school, the no-gi is like only advanced. So it's like there's no white belts. We do it on a Friday. We had no class on Friday night. We started doing class on Friday night, and it's all drills. And we usually drill something more advanced. Right. Saturday morning's the same. So if I like Saturday open mat is no gi. I'm usually like I'm like tagged in a picture. I'm in pictures. I don't take. I don't take a lot of pictures in because I'm like I don't want to be the guy in the mat like taking pictures. Right. But I'll usually like when my own training, it's usually somebody else has tagged me in something, or they're wearing flow and roll stuff. Come on, let's take a picture so I can send it to flow and roll or post it. Right. But I love both, and I love the no-gi. But for me, like post heart attack, when I was trying to get my cardio back, it was a great way for me to slow things down. And as a bigger guy in my gym, I was probably one of the bigger for a long time. Now there's like way bigger guys than me, but it was a way for me to catch my breath. I can hold this guy here for a second, and it was a way for me to kind of really get back into my training. And then I just I started to look at jiu-jitsu. That made me look at it different because I was always a more fast pace. I wasn't like settling into positions, grinding, like cooking guys. Okay, you're gonna stay right here for a minute, And that helped me get into that. And my coach does teach that a lot. Like, no, you stay here for a second. Make them feel it. Make them, have some regrets about taking up jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
And so I got a little bit like
I think both of them have their like pros and cons. Like usually how I tell people, because like we get a lot of people who come in and like I just want to do MMA, and I'm like, okay, well like you need to do some striking first, you need some jiu-jitsu. I think with the no-gi, it's easier to get out of stuff because you can be sweaty, you can slip out of things, but it's gonna be a lot harder to slow things down to control people because they can slip out of stuff. So it's important to do no-gi. It's important to do gi because it's a lot easier to control people, so it's a lot harder to get out of stuff. So I think both have their merits, and if you want to get a really good jiu-jitsu game, you gotta do both.
How do you guys handle, like, I've seen it, I've been in my gym when a guy walks in and the mindset is like, he thinks like, I'm going to come out of there like learning rear naked choke the first day. And it's like, no, well, first of all, like maybe we have to teach it, like you have to learn how to fall. You have to learn side control, guard. Like, do you have those guys come in sometimes? And I was like, you know, well, this is it. This is all we're doing. Like, you know, they're like, I didn't learn any chokes today. Do you have to deal with that sometimes?
Yeah, I think a big part of it is kind of pre-framing people. So like when they do come in, I let them know like, hey, look, if you want to be really good at this stuff, basics are super important. I was like, you'll never see anyone at the top of their field in anything that are not good at the basics. So I know there's a lot of cool stuff. You want to look at cool stuff, you can look at YouTube, you know, but the people who are really good at this stuff are really good at the basics. Look at all of our, you know, our pro fighters, stuff like that. So if you want to get good, this is what you need to focus on, you know? And I think with people who are really serious about this stuff, they'll take that advice pretty well.
John, so like, how does somebody get on that team? Like, to give me like, how does this work? Are you guys getting together often? How do you get on the team? When do you travel to competitions? Give me a little background.
Fight team specifically. We get this question a lot, and our team's a little unique. We don't just let anybody come in. It's such a tight knit because one is they need to trust each other when they train. They train pretty hard, but there's no egos, and everything they do is a team effort. And I think what's important, what I see, at least from my experience, is that when they train that way and they're training hard, they're training for a fight, or, you know, a couple of them have fights coming up, they need to trust each other while they're in those positions, right? And I think that's important. So we get a lot of inquiries from other fighters that want to come in and go, hey, I want to come train, want to go fight, you know, come, you know, do a session. They all have to become members and train on a regular class. Now, with that in mind, even in our regular class, we have a whole team of coaches. So it's not just me, Maurice, David coaching. Every class is somebody different, and they're high level at their own expertise. We're Muay Thai guys, BJJ, MMA, and once they're in there and we see the consistency, and another thing is their attitude, and we really do have a no ego. You know, if you're in there saying, hey, what's in for me? We're not the right team. There's other teams out there.
Martial arts is usually going to weed those guys out. You know, it's probably most, especially jiu-jitsu side of things, I think it weeds guys out. It does for us.
Yes, and it's interesting because when people come in and they stick to it, they're like, you know, I understand the process. I want to fight, or I was a fighter. This is my record. They understand. They're coming to class, and we'll see it. These guys will say, hey, listen, go pay attention to this guy. And so once you're on the fight team, you have a different fight schedule. You have actually different set of coaches. I have two of my good friends, Eric Morrell and Joe Watson. They specifically train with the fighters. So every class is different. Some days they're doing wrestling, some days they're doing cardio, and some days we're just sparring. But yeah, it's a totally different schedule, and you know, it's working for us. We don't have a big team. We have a very small group. But you know, we're very happy with results. We're like a small army. You know how small armies, we can make adjustments really quickly. Let's say these guys just came from a fight, and you know, we as a team, we win and we lose as a team. So we'll sit there and dissect, okay, what happened there? What positions are we losing on? What positions are we good at? And we can make adjustments very quickly. We're a larger team. It's very tough to pay attention to everybody. Everybody. And same thing like with, you know, BJJ competition. We just came from Newbury, by the way, and you know, we look at the good matches. We look at the other matches. We're like, okay, this is what we need to work on, and we're gonna have to have a meeting about that, because I saw, you know, anytime you lose, you see a lot of holes, right? It's like you get so much data.
We always wind up working on exactly what people lost on it, like the day after.
That's natural,
it's just like,
right?
all right, guys, we're going to do this. And so had a problem with this. Let's talk about it. Let's do it. And winds up being like the subject for the next week.
That's right. And it's natural. You know, any good coach should be able to see that in competition and go, okay, you know what? Even though we all know how to get outside control, we got to work that a little better and give a little more options.
So did you... like as a marketing guy, when I'm talking to a business owner, sometimes I tell them, like, they're trying to figure everything out, and it's good to have a business plan, but sometimes it's like, you've got to let the business steer a little bit. The business is going to kind of tell you what it needs. Did you expect that this is where you're going to be when you first started doing, like, you started your Kung Fu studio really was first, right? Did these things, like, did you have a vision, like, I want to do this and have this team, or was it like these opportunities presented themselves and you're like, okay, like you started to be steered a certain way?
Oh, that's a great question. I never wanted to open a gym when I was young.
Really?
It just happened, you know, and somebody kind of disrespected me, and so I opened a gym. You know, it's kind of stupid. But, you know, and, you know, because my background was in Kung Fu and Wing Chun, you know, I love the fighting aspect. And Kung Fu in itself is not known for producing good fighters. So we would, you know, in the beginning, probably when the first 6 months, we were fighting in full contact tournaments. And it really, you know, these guys know it started really with pride. It's like, hey, listen, we got skills too, okay? Just because we train Kung Fu, at first, doesn't mean that we can't learn and incorporate other styles into it. And really, we take the mindset of, you know, the traditional martial arts and we apply it to all the different styles. And eventually, you know, we fought in striking tournaments, Muay Thai. We had to go fight Muay Thai tournament, a Stand Chow tournament. And then, you know, one day, and this is a true story, one day I came back to the gym, I called a meeting, took all my guys. This is a generation before these guys. And we went out to dinner. I said, listen, we got to learn BJJ. We all have to, everybody needs to learn it, and we need to get our gym, our guys to a very high level. And that's really how it started. So once we started doing BJJ and we knew striking, we were like, listen, we could do the MMA stuff. And it takes a little time to develop, right? And, you know, we have to learn, we have to be patient, but eventually this is how it's come out. So it wasn't planned. But the way we're going, just as we're
those are like the best ideas. Those are the ideas that work out.
I know. It just,
the things that I've like the podcast was the thing that I didn't plan. I was like, I really wanted to do it for fun. It was never meant to be a business. It was never meant to be what it became, which is a source of income and part of my marketing company business. It was the marketing company was like, let me do this thing, you know?
Right.
And I did it before and it failed. You know, I wound up going to another company. But the thing that I was just like, like, let's do this thing too, but it's like wound up helping us blow up a little bit.
Well, you guys definitely blow up. I mean, this is my third time, so thank you very much for inviting me.
Anytime, man. I family now. Like,
I made fun. I go, when I walked in, I go, every time I come on, you guys get bigger and bigger, and you guys have some big names on here. Like sometimes I'll be watching, this is awesome, you know. And
I like to like, we want a good story, like a lot of, like a. People are like, oh, how do I get on the show? I'm like, it's a good story. Because I have people that like message us all the time, like, hey, how do I get on the show? And I'm like, well, tell me what you would want to talk about.
Right.
And sometimes there's no answer back, or like, it's just like, it's like, they're like, oh, I'm a white belt and I just got started, but I have a great background. So I'm like, all right, maybe not yet. Like, just train a little bit more, you know?
Wow, that's motivation. Like, you tell them, listen, when you get to a purple belt, we're going to put you on the podcast.
But I definitely like that, you know, now that we have the room to do this, I like this. Like, we did it, we had a little bit of space, but it was pretty tight. Like, this is a little bit more comfortable to have a bunch of people on. So I'm actually going to do a few of these where I bring in the gym. Like, I want you to come in and bring some students or bring some coaches. Like, let's, you know, just, I like we started out with the roundtable, right? I started out with 5 podcast partners. It was just us. And then it was just like, hey, let's bring in my coach, you know, and then the guest thing happened. But it was just meant for me to bullshit, you know, for us to bullshit with just the guys that we trained with, which was, I have more fun with this than just a one-on-one interview. It's more fun to kind of get different aspects.
BJJ has grown a lot since you started. Man. I mean, even over the weekend, you know, we're at Newbury, okay, but there was IBJJF going on. There was ADC, and, you know, everybody that was, you know, because we committed early, otherwise we went to IBJJ with the Carlson Gracie squad, but we had kids, so we already committed to Newbury. Okay. And everybody's thinking before he went, wow, Newbury, there's not going to be that many people. Listen, it was freaking packed. Yeah. It was packed, and there was like big teams there, and I was surprised. My only competitions have been at Newbury because it was local. I was older, it was local. I wanted to try. You just won't travel out anywhere. It's Cold Springs. I'm like a nesting guy. Like I enjoy being home. You know we're in Boca right now, right? Yeah. You spin me around in a circle, I'll start to cry. But yeah, like I like being local. I'm definitely like a homebody. I like to travel and do stuff and go on cruises and things like that. But I definitely am a homebody, and a lot of it has to, like, I want to be close to the computer for work and like to get something done. But
it's not like I'm working 16 hours a day anymore. It's just like I can do this. The rest of the day I'm off. I'm going to go do some errands on the way home, and then I'm going to take a nap and go to jiu-jitsu. It's a decent life. My daughter works for the marketing company now, so she takes over.
Nice.
Jen actually told her, I'm like, got the podcast today. I trust you. Do what you need to do. I basically was saying in a nice way, I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to see my phone blowing up during the podcast. Like, approve this and prove that. We hired someone. She's got an assistant now too. So it's grown. Awesome. It's good. But I told her I'm done at 55. You're either taking it over or we're selling it. So like, I'm doing this for her now. Like, I want her to take it over. But definitely. It's a different world. You was talking about like so much jiu-jitsu. There's like a jiu-jitsu academy. Like like I always use we sell like a Google business profile like marketing service, like reputation management. So I'm so conscious of that. So like you like Google like jiu-jitsu in Austin, Texas, and it's just like saturated
everywhere,
right? We're like that. We weren't as bad in that Coral Springs area, like my area, just South Florida, and now when you do it, it's just like dot, everywhere. Even like American Top Team, right? They don't do any like hobbyist training, right? It's not open to the general public or kids anymore. So the big location right now, so there have been a couple of American Top Teams that have popped up. Just, who else is taking up? Alliances everywhere now, right?
Baja. I mean, they're everywhere.
Yeah. So it's just like, it's super saturated, but it definitely wasn't like that in the beginning. And back to the New Breed, when I did the first tournaments I did were at New Breed, at the Coral Springs, the gymnasium. I think I did 4. I think I did 4 there total. And when I fought at white and blue, there was never anybody my age. So it was always the guys were half my age. So I always did well. I did well, but it was let me correct. I had one fight with somebody that was over 40. And I started at 41, so it was like I'm like 42, having, doing tournaments. Never fought anybody my age to this day in a tournament, which is I soured on New Breed because of that.
Right.
When I got to purple, I did, after the heart attack, I fought at purple, and my cardio just wasn't there. But again, I'm fighting guys half of my age, and I was just like, oh man, I got beat up.
It makes a difference.
Super fucking humbling. Super humbling. I'm like, where's the fat, 40? Give me a fat 45-year-old guy with, his fucking gut popping out of his A3. He clearly needs an A4, And I never had that experience, so I definitely would like to do it again. And I do like to, I like that I've been there as a spectator, and it's like, what the fuck, it's like, this place is freaking packed now. And it wasn't like that in the beginning. It was really like not that many people there,
It's really blown up, and it's awesome to see because, one thing, talking about traditional martial arts, BJJ community, it's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Right. You got to bow in. Got to pay respect to everybody. After you roll, you have a hard training. You give a high five and fist bump. And I think that's important, especially for the kids too, and adults.
Yeah,
that you can come in and learn all these killer skills that are dangerous, but yet you can be humble and nice at the same time.
Yeah,
I think it's fantastic.
I think we could all agree. I could not see my life without, like, I've asked the question, what would you be doing? Let's ask, what would you be doing if you weren't doing martial arts?
Man, if I wasn't doing, I don't know.
You'd still be at that Mexican restaurant?
Yeah, probably, man, honestly. Like I said before, like I wanted to do bodybuilding, and when I couldn't do that because of the injury, I was at a really low point in my life. So to even think of what I would be doing, I have no idea.
As a little kid, like when I was little, my dad was a cop. I wanted to be a cop like my dad, right? Did you have any of those dreams when you were a kid? Like, I want to grow up to be this. What was that?
Well, I wanted to be Spider-Man when I was a kid. I wanted to jump off buildings and save old ladies.
Let me tell you, every time I drop a water off the table and I catch it, I'm like, maybe I'm Spider-Man.
That's how
have I been bitten?
That's how you used to enter the cage like Spider-Man. He would crawl in.
Yeah. That's
looks like Tom Holland a little bit.
A lot of the smaller kids, I've had like 12 kids, who've come up and they're like, "Are you Spider-Man?" I'm like, "Yes." Don't tell anyone.
So this was it for you. This is the path.
Yeah. Like you said, the things that you end up doing tend to be unexpected. When I was younger, at one point, I wanted to be like a marine biologist, environmentalist. And what took me off of that path, there was like one day in middle school where we used this website where it showed you like, what schools you had to apply to, and then later like estimated how much they would make. I'm like, these people make absolutely no money whatsoever. I don't want to do this at all, you know. But yeah, just unexpectedly, this dropped on me.
Yeah. What about you, Maurice? What would you be doing?
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's something I've been doing forever. You know, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a firefighter. Burnt my hand on the stove. took that one off. And I was like, I can't do that. Then I wanted to be an astronaut. Super afraid of heights. So like,
It's like the ultimate heights right there. Like,
exactly. So I was kind of like, it's this or nothing. Yeah. So I mean, to be honest, if I wasn't doing this, who knows what I would be doing? To be honest.
Yeah. Oh man, what about you, John? Well, you said you never expected to open a gym. What would you be doing?
No, I don't know. I mean, I'm a marketer. I love business. But,
Are you still? I know that you guys had a company.
Yes.
Are you still doing
no,
that?
I have my ex-partner. He runs a company now, and you know, I love what I do.
Yeah.
You know, it's really fantastic. I get to help out people, and I get to. I had a friend, you know, childhood friend that came down to visit one day. And he doesn't train martial arts, but he came with me. And at that time, I had 3 locations, right? So we're going around to 3 locations. And at the end of the day, he's a very smart guy. He goes, you go on the floor. These people bow to you, right? Then you kick their ass, right? Then they bow to you again. At the end of the day, they pay you money. I go, that's it. That's it. So I was like, okay. He goes, that's a good scam.
Yeah.
You know? So,
I never really looked at it like that, man.
But that's what he saw, you know, non-martial arts. But no, it's fantastic. What, you know, the opportunities we get to just work with people, to be around, you know, all the different communities, and you know, I trained down at Carlson Gracie, Miami, and it's great because you know, I leave my environment by going to this other environment. It's very much the same.
The teacher becomes a student. For a little while.
And it's like, you know, I just love it, and
Was it you? I don't remember if it was you, John, on one of the podcasts. Did you say something about for your family? Like it was weird, like you'd be out and people would call you Sifu or Professor. Was it you that told me that? With that, it was like that feel like. Talk about that feeling. Like this is like I'm not. You know, I'm a brown belt. I haven't experienced that. But like, how does that feel? Like,
well,
what is?
You know what? As instructors, right?
Feel super proud.
No, you know? you feel proud, but as an instructor, you know, we have a commitment. There should be like laws of, you know how there's ethical things in real estate, like ethical. I think as martial arts instructor, you know, you have a huge responsibility because what you say in class today, you know, a kid could be down and you say to the kid, hey, little Johnny, you did a great job. Like, that was freaking amazing. And you don't know how that resonates with a kid.
Oh, my God. That's fucking, they carry that with them.
And, you know, and funny because I do see a lot of people that in the public that don't train anymore with us. And first thing they feel, hey, listen, I didn't train. I don't train because of this or this or this. Right? And I don't care. I'm just happy to see them. But they always remember some sort of lesson from there. And I think all martial arts instructors feel that way. And you know, you can even be a high level, like you're helping somebody out. You know, you're a brown belt, you step with somebody who's a white belt who's struggling. And you go, hey man, you're doing pretty good. Try it this way. You just made him for life. My
favorite part of jiu-jitsu is like I don't know that I would ever own a gym, but I love the training. Especially like whenever there's been a big guy that's come to the gym, like white belt starting out, like it's kind of my coach, Felipe he goes, hey, Amazon Prime just delivered your, he's like, right here, just perfect fit for you. Go ahead, take him. And then, you know, we learn the instruction, but he always knows that I'm going to like, especially like we have more coaches now, so it doesn't happen as much, but I would grab that person and even he would teach the move, but then I would be like, all right, listen, jiu-jitsu 101, get in my guard. You know, I'm going to tell you, you know, teach you how to pass. You're going to sweep me. You know, we're going to do some basics. So forget about what they just did right there. You're not going to learn that, but let's do this real quick. So I love that. I kind of like that teaching in every aspect of even the marketing company and training somebody. Like I feed off of that. Again, I don't know at 50 if like owning a gym is in my future. I think it would be a good retirement program. You have all the ingredients,
right? You understand sales.
Yeah.
You understand marketing. You understand customer service, and you have the knowledge.
I just don't. If I was to do something, would definitely have to get like coaches, though. Like I don't know at this age that I want to be tied to like classes in the morning and the afternoon and at night. The kids, I definitely think a good kids program is important for a martial arts studio, especially jiu-jitsu. You know, we have like the after school program at my coach's school. You know, they're picking up kids from the school, and that's what like our adults class consists of the parents of all the kids.
That's awesome.
It's so many of the parents, male and female, because we've got male and female coaches, so women feel a little bit more comfortable, especially when they're getting recruited. Like, it's a woman saying, come on, just do a class, you know? But I think that's been important for the school. Like, the kids program has built the adult program. He doesn't even advertise adults, like, for adults. He advertises for, like, the kids, and you get the mom bringing in the kid that's been bullied, like, and then they come in, and then the parents sitting there waiting for them to, hey, look, the adults class is going to start right after this. Why don't you stick around? And then it happens.
Yeah. The parent stuff is super important because, like, one of the things that I hate the most is, like, let's say a kid's stuck and they're like, just get up. I'm like, that's super tough, dude. You know? Yeah, exactly. So when, like, the parents do it too, like, they understand what their kids are going through, and then like the kids and the parent have something they can talk about together. You know, it's like, hey, like, I learned this in jiu-jitsu tape. Like, oh, really cool. I learned the same thing in my class. You know, it's a really cool thing. But also, like, you know, parents are really tough for kids sometimes. So sometimes a kid will, you know, get smashed by a bigger kid, and they're like, oh, you're faster than him. You're smaller. It's like, dude, it's really hard to do that.
Coaching to the coaches, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Do you ever have to have that conversation with the parent?
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah, like, hey, let us do the coaching. You're gonna make them not. I think that when the parent starts to coach, it makes them not to do that sport, whatever that sport is. They don't want to do that sport anymore. Because now mommy and daddy are like, now I go home and they tell me what I was doing wrong. Right. Leave it to the coaches and like let the coaches be the good guy and the bad guy in those instances.
I mean, it's very tough as a parent sit there and watch your kid getting smashed. But you know, we all know because we train. But there's a lesson there in itself. I mean, let the kid handle it. Yeah. Let them see that it's challenging and let them figure it out because this is what's going to happen outside of the gym.
In my mind, I'd be like, yeah, smash him. He didn't do his line. He didn't clean up his room. Smash him.
We get a lot of parents.
We get some parents like that. Yeah.
No, let him roll with the big guy. You know.
Right. But no, you know, it's funny. Speaking of your professor, he's got a great operation there, and you know, he's got a great gym. But I enjoy watching Felipe coach his son. Like,
oh my God,
he gets intense. You know.
Yeah, he's like that with all of his students. But yeah, definitely, it's a whole nother level. Yeah. They just went to Abu Dhabi for the was it AJ
it's awesome.
Pro? What is it? They just got back. They went last weekend. We had people just like all broken up at all the different. We had some guys, some adults at New Breed. We had a couple of guys that went up to ADCC. We had kids go up to ADCC, adults at New Breed, and we had one of our students. He like 4 gold medals.
Oh wow!
Double golded at both at IBJJF.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
listen, that's what belt is he?
He's a brown belt, and he does train under Cyborg, and he trains at both places. Right. Both of his sons, one of his sons still trains with us. His older son is training, I think, at the Fight Sports in Deerfield. Okay. Only because it's like closer to his house. And then the dad is a judo black belt and brown belt in jiu-jitsu. And I believe he's probably going to get his black belt at the December promotions under Cyborg, even though he trains with both. But I think he's going to, he's trained with Cyborg longer. And his, I don't know, I forget his last name. Everybody calls him Dr. Tom Freitas. Okay. Does that name sound familiar to you?
No.
He's like I think by trade, he was just like a physical therapist in Brazil, and now he's come here and he's getting licensed here. But he works with a lot of fighters. He works with a lot of the pro fighters. He's been in the corner at UFC fights.
Oh, nice.
Awesome. Yeah. So super cool. But yeah, he went and the first day he's like, "Hey guys, I double golded," and then the next day he's like, "Nogi, double golded." Wow. So yeah, he's freaking tough.
Listen, it's not easy out there because you watch even the white belt division. You're watching these white belts, and you're like, Jesus, man, like the moves they're pulling.
Yeah. You know, he's 40 plus too. I think he's like 43, 44. So, I mean, it's that added like, oh God, the body is.
It's awesome to see guys like that, guys who can excel in like many aspects of life. Like seeing what John does in regards to being able to, put his time into the business and as well as being able to train as a high level black belt. Yeah. It's really motivating to let you know, okay, this is something that's a possibility for you and the ability to compete as an MMA fighter and then potentially, find another route, another opportunity. So it's cool to meet guys like Tom, like that. That's pretty cool.
Do you guys, how we're talking about training, does weight training play a lot into your MMA training?
Yeah,
is weight training a big part of that? Or
so I do weight training at least 3 times a week. I do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I think weight training is very important, especially when you guys get into these positions when you guys are like clinching or grabbing onto someone. Anyone who says size doesn't matter is lying to you, right?
Yeah, they're usually small.
Yeah, exactly.
Or not strong. They're not strong for their size.
The strength definitely matters, and I would say like depending on how you're lifting, because it does matter as far as can you translate that stuff into jiu-jitsu? But I do think that has a big part in, you know, the grappling and the clinch work that you do. And
for me at my age, I feel like the weightlifting helps me recover faster. Yeah. I believe not only does it make me stronger in the situations on the mat, but like when something's hurting and I work that out a little bit, aside from anything else I do, massage gunning and the occasional, you know, massage therapy, I feel so much better when I'm weightlifting. You know.
So a lot of times, like a lot of stuff is connected, right? So I have like a decompressed spine in my back. So for me, when I'm lifting and I'm doing a lot of legs and core, it actually takes the pressure off my back because other muscles are working. Yeah. And then weightlifting is also super good for your joints, stuff like that. So, you know, like all that together does help out, you know, just from just feeling not terrible after training, you know?
Yeah. I'm trying to get, like, I have a couple of people at my school that they go weight training and then they come to jiu-jitsu class, adults that come to jiu-jitsu class. And I wish I could do it. You know, like, I wish I could put in an hour at the gym and then come and train the other hour. I'm like, the days that I have done it, I am just spent, and I'm not able to, like, the next day, I'm like,
you just got to take more bio-pro.
Yeah, right. Just couple it up. Take 2 at a time. Right? I might try that. Hey, we got a couple of listener questions. Let's go over some of these real quick. And we'll let everybody answer if it's appropriate. So we have, and some of these people might know you. Let's see. Blusky Unlimited. I'm not sure if anybody knows who that is.
Blue Sky, I think.
Is it Blue Sky?
Blusky
Unlimited. So I just have the link there. So the process of training for fights is written in stone. The first time I read it, I'm like, do they mean is not written in stone? But it says is written in stone. Train, eat right, make weight, fight. You win or you lose. No one likes to talk about losing a tough fight. How do you mentally take that loss and move forward? That's question number 1. What is that process? Kind of like a part 2. And how do you prepare your mind to deal with this?
I'll talk about that one. I just had my pro debut recently, and I actually ended up losing my pro debut.
Okay.
So, you know, super recent. It was like, 2-3 weeks ago, maybe. So I think there's a couple of things to that, right? Number 1 is you do have to go over the pros, right? So, you know, unless the fight was like 1 second, you did some good stuff, you know? So you do got to keep the confidence in there. And another part is just kind of telling yourself that, you know, other people lose too. So like for me personally, like, you know, I know Kamaru Usman lost one of his first fights. So did like Jack Della Maddalena, right? So I understand that people lose and
Christian likes
he's awesome. He's one of my favorite fighters right now.
He put me on. He's like, watch that fight this weekend.
I got sick, you know.
I think Aldo lost his first fight too, possibly.
Yeah, Aldo lost his first. I think it was his second fight. He ended up being that guy like twice after. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so I know it's not something that, you know, you lose and like, oh, it's over, man. You know, people push past that, you know. And any other sport, because MMA is a little different, right? Like in a full career, you get like maybe some good guys get to like 30, maybe. But like you look at other sports, people lose all the time. So just kind of putting in a reference that, you know, people lose and you can always come back from it. And I think also using it as like motivation. So for me, you know, I understand what the stuff I did well. So I'm very confident that, okay, I didn't do terrible. I did good things. And then using it as motivation, like, oh, I can't wait to get back to training. So usually I take about 2 weeks after fights. You know, I was training literally the next day I could, you know, versus a couple injuries and stuff like that. So I think it's important to take the pros and then use the cons as motivation to get better.
Yeah. David?
The big thing for me is seeing the overall discipline and staying consistent to the routine, following that martial arts mindset. You know, for me, my team knows, but after fights, you know, I take some time off and I kind of get out of routine, and I live a double life, man. You know, I love to party.
He parties at space.
Dude, yeah.
Just say it, David.
Guy, bro. I like to party. I like to have a good time.
That's a dark place. Not both literally and figuratively.
Yeah, exactly.
I've gone there a few times, and this feeling I feel like I'm going into like the fucking belly of the beast. Yeah. So, it's been a while since I've been there. We're talking like in my 30s. So, but I used to go. I'd be like, I don't like being here.
It's rough, man. It's rough, but I have those two sides to me, so I really try to enjoy myself afterwards. But
when you guys you both said like I take off a little bit, or like I try to take off, or I have to take off. Are you still going to coach, but you're out of your routine for the fight?
Yeah.
Or are you literally like, hey, Professor, I'm going to be out for 2 weeks. Not that, right? You're still working.
Yeah,
so
you're
still in that. You're still in the environment, so you're not ever fully out of it. You may not be training for your next fight, but
yeah.
Right.
So like for me personally, sometimes I even show up to practice to just hang out. Like, you know, usually if like it's an injury, I just want to rest a little bit. But for me, I get out of routine super easy. And I'm a super lazy person. Like, if I wasn't doing martial arts, I'd be humongous. You know, so for me, like, just sitting in the room, like, watch people practice just to keep my routine a little bit.
Yeah. So I'll let you finish that thought.
And same thing. It's like what I was trying to get to is, you know, it's just staying consistent overall and seeing it as a lifestyle choice, you know, because I don't want to be the person after I'm done fighting that I need to find the motivation to eat healthy or to keep training or to stay consistent with it. I want to do it just because of the overall benefits of it, you know, and to what Maurice says. There's a quote from Phil Collins, actually from the Tarzan movie, and he says, in learning you will teach, and in teaching you will learn. And so there's a big aspect to that. And obviously it's my job as an instructor to come in and do what I have to do.
That's our first Phil Collins quote, by the way. So we get to like check that off right
there. So that's like a big thing. And I feel like that's why we're such great competitors, is that everything's always reinforced, whether we want it to be or not. Like we're at the school 24/7, whether we're training, hanging out with each other, or coaching.
So you talked about like very easy for you to get off of your routine.
Yeah.
Like, and we've talked about making weight, cheat meals, or what's your go-to. Like, I'm a pizza, bagels, and ice cream guy. Like, I can, I can't buy those things or keep those things in the house because that's just a hole for me. What's your, when you're in training, what are you craving the most?
Man, I like pizzas. I like burgers, but every time it changes up a little bit.
Yeah.
But my go-to with dessert is ice cream for sure. Yeah.
What about you? What do you miss the most when you make weight?
So I'm a sweet tooth, so like literally anything but pizza and cookies. I love cookies. Yeah.
John, what about you? Even though you're not making weight for fights, what's your cheat?
Oh, I love ice cream.
Like you're so like slender and in shape, and you know, or you like
I want to be like him,
like a junk food guy.
No, I love food. I mean, I love all kinds of food, and you know, for me, it's the opposite because you train, and if I don't eat, I don't put in the calories, I drop weight.
Like I feel for me, like it's like every day. I'm not making weight for a fight, but I'm always so conscious because of the next day. I'm like, I'm gonna train tomorrow.
Well, you feel it in training.
And some fucking guy, some big dude that's my size or bigger is going to be trying to choke me. And this meal is going to make me slower. And this meal, we had it was Sophia's birthday last night. Coach was Professor Sophia, and they had like chocolate cake and cookies. And Felipe was there with fucking broccoli and ranch dressing, going like this.
Listen,
he's like, you guys. He goes,
your professor. I was in, I think it was New Orleans, right? Him and I were hanging out one night. And I go, hey, we're going to eat. So we're out there eating, right? And it was New Orleans. We ate a good food, good seafood, whatever. And then afterwards, I said, I'm getting dessert. I go, what are you getting? He goes, I don't do dessert. I go, Felipe, you're getting dessert.
Really
he's very disciplined. But I did make him get dessert. You can ask him about that. I go, listen, I'm not eating this in front, by myself. You're getting one too. I don't think he ate the whole thing, but he ordered it.
But he's got 2 weeks. He likes candy.
Oh, he does. Okay.
And Coke Zeros.
Wow.
Like the kids bring, like his birthday, they bring him like 6-pack of Coke Zeros. But he doesn't, like, I guess he considers himself a vegetarian. Like vegetarian or a vegan? I think more like vegetarian, right? But he doesn't eat meat. I got him the other day with like, oh, he eats eggs. I'm like, aha, that's not, wait a minute. But he he doesn't eat meat. He's super disciplined. He's always in good shape. Now, we've got like workout equipment in the gym now, so now he's like working out, which he didn't really do. Jiu-jitsu was the workout. So, but yeah, last night he was just like, I did see him grab a piece of cake though. He had the broccoli, and then he had a little sliver of cake, and then he went back to the broccoli, But yeah, that's I'm super conscious of what I'm putting in my body every day. Although I cheat. I'm not saying that I don't, but I'm like, oh my God, as I'm putting that bad food or that ice cream in my mouth, I'm like, oh man, it's gonna slow me down.
You kind of feel bad afterwards.
Yeah, I'm like it's gonna affect my training, or like I'm trying, like I want to stay in the gym, I want to work out. So I'm weak.
Yeah, same.
All right, we got our next question. So this came from Amy Jimenez. What is your favorite part of fighting? I think she trains with you guys.
Yeah.
What is your favorite part of fighting? David, I'll let you go first.
Man,
don't just say smashing people in the face. Let's or unless that's it.
I gotta say, well, there is that aspect to it. Obviously knowing that you have that side in you. But I love the attention, man. I really, yeah. I can't lie about it.
Honesty.
Yeah, there's a part of it, where whether it be people at the school or every once in a while, when you're in the fight community, you go out to an event, people recognize you, and you're like, oh, you're this guy, you're the Bogota Bruiser, and that it's pretty cool to have that, and to know that there's some guys that you inspire in some way, shape, or form. To me, that's a really enjoyable part of it. That's
a good thing, as long as you don't let it take you down the wrong path.
Yeah.
Right?
And these guys, I think these guys have been the yin to my yang in that sense. They level me out with it, So that's why I'm really grateful to have these guys behind me as well.
And Maurice, what about you? What's your favorite part of fighting?
I would say like day to day, I'm kind of a bitch, to be honest. So like, I am. Like, I'm a punk, you know what I mean? So like, I think, with fighting, it's kind of like a cool way to be like the other side of Mo, where he's a little more fearless, he's a little more aggressive, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And kind of having that kind of like alter ego a little bit. So I think it's also cool because I know that there's a lot of kids who are like, they're not really the strongest kids ever. They're get scared very easily and stuff like that. So for me to go in and push past that stuff and fight, that's the fair part for me.
Good. Okay. That's awesome. I do I go back to the whole that quiet confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't I would say this to my wife. I would say I'm not bulletproof. Things still bother. I'm still gonna avoid a confrontation.
Yeah.
I know jiu-jitsu. I don't know how to be bulletproof, right? You can still stab me. You can still shoot me, right?
Exactly.
So there's this confidence that goes along with being in certain situations, and I think I can kind of calm myself. Not that I've been in a bunch of situations where I have to oh my God, I've got to use my hands or I'm going to use my jiu-jitsu. But I definitely feel like when I walk into situations, walking down the street at night or going anywhere, going to a restaurant, walking in and seeing two people argue, I'm just like, all right, you're over there. Let's be over here. Where, maybe when I was younger, when I learned how to fight, I learned how to avoid fights.
Yeah.
Yes.
But when I didn't know how to fight, I was the guy come on, let's go. Come on, let's see what's going on over there, right? And get into something stupid. So I definitely think that's taught me to really I guess humility, right? Just I can't fucking beat everybody. Let me be over here. But I definitely like what you said about imparting that on the kids, though, because there's definitely somebody. You guys, you're realizing it, but you're gonna see it as you get older. Like what John said, you're impacting people, and it's these little tiny moments, the ones that you're not even gonna remember. You're I did say that.
Yeah.
That some kid is taking home with them, and it's gonna affect them for the rest of their lives. Or there's gonna be that one thing in the back of their mind, I'll use Felipe. There's a couple that he's used, but one of them that he always says the enemy's training. So when you're eating that
I read
meal,
that yesterday. I like that a lot.
You're eating something or you're not getting to training. Enemy's training.
Yeah.
Just know that that other guy that you might be up to, either in the street or at a company, he's training. What's the other one is I always joke with them when I'm sitting on the couch and I'm oh man, I gotta get to training tonight. There's this little guy, this little Felipe on my shoulder, not letting me, not go.
Yeah.
And it's just he says, it's a choice. So training's a choice. You choose to come. As soon as I start putting on my gi or putting on my rash guards, it's a different feeling. I'm all right, I'm going. You have to change your mindset.
Yeah.
I am going. Yeah, I'm going to train, and these are my friends. But I'm going to fight. I'm going to be doing something physical. He's little, something like that. Come on, get
off my shoulder.
He's in my ear going, and we all joke about it too. It's a choice. I'm not training. I'm going to be there tomorrow. I won't be there till Saturday.
Yeah.
And then it's somebody always puts in the chat, either the group chats or we have our little chats with some of the just friends, and it's just somebody always puts it in there. It's a choice. So that one has stuck with me, and he's pounded that one into us. But there are just little things that he's done or said that, as even an adult, have affected me that I carry with me. Yeah, when I was in my early 20s, I worked in pizzerias, and I had my boss used to say, "Pennies make dollars," right? And I've taken that with I relate that to just about everything. Every little bit of my training adds up, right? That's what it means. Pennies make dollars, right? All of these little things add up. And he said, "Kill them with kindness." So somebody would come and complain about a pie that they got or a meal that they got 2 weeks ago, and he'd be like, "Here's a free pie."
That's right.
And I used to be like, man, I wanted to tell that guy to go fuck himself. I wanted to tell that guy, you didn't order it. I deliver to your house every week, and we didn't. And he'd be like, "Kill him with kindness." He goes, "That one pie, I ensured that they're going to come back every week for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
What did it cost me? That's a few pennies in the overall scheme of things. So kill him with kindness. And he doesn't even know that I've carried those things with me. Just the rest of, like, I relate those things to so many things I do in personal and business. So you're affecting these kids more than you even know now. Yeah. And again, I know, like, you know, John sees it. John sees these guys and they go, oh, remember when you said that thing, coach? Yeah, I remember, right. You know? You try, like, it's so hard to see, like, I don't know this part of coaching. I know it as a business person. Like, you see somebody leaves, they quit or they leave. That's a little bit of an ego thing for us. It's like, man, do you feel bad when they leave?
It used to be when I was younger, and I was like, man, why they leave? You know, but you know, people have all kinds of things going on. They have life, family, you know, work, travel, and you know, all we can do is just provide the best environment. You know, you got to walk in each class, and you can't keep everybody there. They're going to leave, but you know what? A lot of them do come back. You know, for whatever struggle it is that made them leave in the first place, they're going to come back, and when they're ready to train, they're going to call you guys up.
The other one that he says is, and I mess with him on this one. So we're rolling, and if somebody takes a break, he'd be like, "Come on, guys, it's free," and I go, "Not really, it's not." You know, and I'm there, and he's always like, "Shut the fuck up." There are only a couple of guys that are older than him in the class that we feel like we could be a smart ass to the professor. Otherwise, everybody else is super respectful. All right, guys, look, we're gonna wrap things up with just we've got a few more questions. We call it the drill down. Both supposed to be our sound effects guy. It's time for
the drill down.
There you go, sound effects, right? So I'm going to go through these questions. These are just kind of like some of the most common questions that like people submit. So we just like put them at the end of the episode, right? Cool. I know that John's done this with us a few times. So we'll go down the row, and John, you'll do these. You know, it's been a while since you've done these. So preference, gi or no gi?
Ooh,
so you caught him looking at himself.
No gi.
I
thought we were starting with that. No gi for sure.
No gi, Maurice.
Gi.
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 All right. Takedown or pull guard?
Oh, takedown.
Now, let's say, okay, so in a fight, takedown. Yeah. In your regular training, when you're takedown is your preference?
Oh, for sure.
Always takedown.
Takedown?
Yeah, I like pull guard.
Pull guard. I'm pull guard. I'm usually the bigger guy, too, so I'm like, I feel bad if I land on you and I smash you. You know, I'm like,
I'm not purposely pulling a guy on top of me. If you know.
Music during rolling.
It changes it up a bit.
I should have started down here. Do you allow music during rolling? Jiu-jitsu?
No, we do, but these guys screw me up. They know, oh man, it's John's class. Let's put on some disco. And I'm like, we're teaching guys how to smash, and you hear disco in the background, you know? So
I love music during rolling. I'll turn it up pretty loud, actually. Yeah.
Preference? What's your music preference? If you had if you get to tune in.
Space, man, EDM all day.
Yeah.
Depends on the day. Yeah, it depends on the day.
Yeah, rock or hip hop, I like.
Yeah, okay. Are you watching tape? Like, do you watch instructionals? Are you watching tape on competitors? Are you somebody that's consuming online at night? Are you like watching MMA?
Yeah, as much as I can, and it's these guys that really got me into it, because these guys are nerds, man. Yeah. They're always watching. Oh, did you see this fight? Did you see this local? Like, they're watching local fights too, which is crazy, you know. So it motivated me to get on top of that.
Yeah, always. Yeah, always. I watch a lot. Yeah.
You watch
as a coach, you have to watch. You know, you got to see what's going on. There's so much good content out there, and it influences you a little bit, you know, and just simple stuff too.
Yeah. Okay. Favorite competitor?
Ooh, current or doesn't matter?
And favorite competitor to watch? BJJ or MMA?
Anderson Silva, always. Yeah.
Max Holloway.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah, I love Max Holloway. Yeah.
I like Gordon Ryan.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like I fought liking Gordon Ryan because of the trash talking, but I mean he's just a freaking technician.
Listen, off the mat, he's a super nice guy, and you can see that just like you were talking about earlier.
He just makes he just makes black belts look like it's like their first day on the mat. Yeah. It's like how we did with like a white belt, and it's like smashing this guy. It's crazy. Ultimate goal in this world of martial arts for you?
To be able to inspire people to just be better and do better based off of what we do and how we train.
Maurice?
Inspire people, because like I said, I'm not like a natural tough guy, so I want people to understand that you don't have to be good at this stuff.
Yeah. A lot of times we get like, I want to be a world champ. I want to be the UFC. You know, I want to be.
So I think
still have those.
Yeah, I think those are my goals too. But I would say like, those are just bigger platforms to inspire people. That's all it is. Yeah.
All right. Ultimate goal with everything that you're doing.
I'm living it.
Yeah,
I'm living the ultimate goal.
That's awesome.
You know, to get
best
to teach,
answer ever on that.
No, get to teach the kids and the influence adults, and plus to have these guys out there fighting. It's everything I wanted.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, God bless you guys. You guys are definitely inspiring. I love having you on, John.
Thank you very much.
We got the one last question. Now, you're not a gi guy.
Yeah.
He trains gi.
Do you or do you not wash your jiu-jitsu belt?
My belt, no.
Your belt.
Never
Why
the
not?
belt. From what these guys tell me, it's bad luck. But
we're going to have a talk about that. Maurice, you wash it?
No.
You don't wash it? And then I guess if it's coming from the top.
Ever since we had that discussion last time, I washed my belt. I don't do it often because I don't want it to fade. Like, you know how the ones are super faded?
I can understand it at black belt because this is like, you're going to be a black belt for a very long time. This is the longest belt, and maybe you're going to get a coral and go on, right? I can understand it at black belt because it's like, I want the belt that I was promoted in to be my belt for as long as possible. Right. So I get that. But for somebody that's like, okay, you're probably going to have the belt for a couple of years, right? And then they're going to get promoted. I'm washing it every single, I've gone back and forth. I just throw that fucker in the wash. Every time now. Yeah.
Is it faded?
And like, you know, I don't want to jinx anything. I'm pretty close to the next, you know, I'm pretty close to leveling up. So like, I'm not that worried. And I have two. So it's just like, I don't have an attachment to one. I have the one that I got when I was promoted, and then I got one from Flow and Roll. So I think it's the Flow and Roll one that I'm wearing every day. So it's just, there's no attachment to the actual belt.
How many stripes are you?
But he doesn't really do stripes.
Okay.
So we had a coach in that did stripes. Okay. So I have 3. Technically, I should have the 4. You know,
I'm gonna have to reach out to you, Professor. I want to be there.
Please don't. No,
I'm not going to ask him. Hey, listen, man, when does he get his button out? But I want to be there for that one.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Like, I probably, if we went by time and the amount of training, I should probably. He just doesn't do the stripes. Whenever they do the belt promotion, he's like, I know I'm horrible with the stripes, guys. It's just like he doesn't care about the stripes. It's just about the belt. It's about the level. So, I don't know if it'll change when I'm, you know, the washing part. Because again, now there's just a little bit more of attachment to that belt because if I don't necessarily like to call it a goal to get to that, but it's definitely an achievement. And now this is the one that I had my coach put on me.
It's like almost there, you know, your experience and everything. It's like, you know.
Yeah, I'm definitely at the point, and I've had conversations with people. I'm like they're nervous about the next belt. They're like, oh, I don't deserve it, or I'm not training enough. And I've been like, don't worry, you know, it's the beginning of the next journey. Like I've had and now I'm having those feelings. Like I'll wait as long as he wants to wait.
You know, it's funny you say that same thing here. Yeah. So like I'm 4 stripes for my belt, but I'm like, I'll stay here for a little bit.
Yeah, let me be here. I've even done like me, you know, I'm like starting to get the competition itch. Yeah. And I was like, Brown is the only belt that I didn't do a competition at. At least one. So I'm like, maybe do I want to do, you know, if it's a black belt, that's a different level now.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
You know, I could be up at a guy my age, but that's been training or has been a black belt for a decade, right? Yeah. You know, and then it's a whole different level, right? Yeah. So anyway, but listen, again, thank you guys for doing this. I appreciate you guys coming on. I hope you had a good time.
Thank you very much for having us.
You guys are always welcome. You got something going on, let me know. Give me a little advance notice. We have you guys come on again, you know, so definitely like doing this is my favorite format of the show is having a bunch of guys come on, just bullshit about jiu-jitsu and martial arts.
Congrats on the success of your podcast.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And hopefully we're not even close to where we're going to be. I think we're going to keep on doing it. You know, it's 4.5 years now, man. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Remember us when you get big.
Yeah. Same thing. Same thing, man.
Thank you to Feito IT and AV, specializing in commercial and residential automation, security cameras, CCTV, POS, and more. Check them out at feitoitav.com or call 305-428-2515 and let them know the dummy sent you. Special thank you to the crew over at Flow and Roll for all their support. Flow and Roll is renowned for their incredible no-gi rash guards, shorts, and leggings. Flow and Roll has quickly become the premier custom apparel provider for academies big and small throughout the United States. Reach out today to discuss your custom order and ask about their incredible pre-order program. You can send an email to flowandroll@gmail.com or visit their Instagram at flow_n_roll and shoot them a direct message. And yes, they can create an awesome custom gi for your academy as well. Visit flowandroll.com to check out their awesome designs, and while you're there, pick up a jiu-jitsu dummy signature tee exclusively at flowandroll.com. And remember, You'll get 20% off your purchase of t-shirts, rash guards, or gis with code JJD.
All right, guys. So thank you very much for everybody who's watching and listening. Check us out at Jiu-Jitsu Dummies for all the ways to watch, listen, and support. My personal IG is Uncle Milty BJJ. And, I answer both, so reach out to me either way. So thank you for watching and listening, everybody. Peace, love, Jiu-Jitsu.
Much love, guys.
Take care, guys.